Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Right now, we'll take a look at the front pages of the National Dailies. As usual, we'll start with the Daily Trust newspaper here. Now, the major story on the Daily Trust newspaper today is saying Cardoso warns Nigeria on debt risks. The writers are saying federal government and states owe about 139 trillion naira. The debt rose from 2.1 trillion to 87 trillion in 24 years. Now, this is a scary one, for Nigerians.
Who is he talking to exactly?
We keep hearing.
Is he telling his boss, the president?
He is telling Nigerians, not the president.
What can we do about it? We don't ask for those loans.
Yeah, we should be.
The National Assembly.
We keep pushing for transparency. So this is them giving us transparency. All right. So above or below the headmaster, rather, we have Daurawa settles with Kano governor and returns to Hisbah commander. You find that story on page 33. Private sector weak as economy declines by $44 billion in 2023. That's according to NESG. 17 killed in Zaria, Kano, Abuja, Lokoja road crashes. A really sad one there. You'll find that on page 21. Now, below the major story, we see IGP bars the POS operators from police stations nationwide. I mean, that's to keep the police safe, right?
What is that story about?
If you want to get the details, of course, you grab the Daily
in police stations. Okay.
Yeah, it could be because of maybe, some informant kind of situation. If police feel threatened by people saying really close to them, then it's their decision. So below that, we see the U.S. election. Supreme Court clears Trump for primaries. Oh, after the back and forth.
Guess who the next president of the years is?
Trump.
I just said guess. I didn't ask you to mention it. Guess, but anyway.
There's been a lot of, back and forth from
round 2 is going to be really interesting.
Yes, and we can't wait to see how that unfolds. Healing masquerades go to church with native doctor for Thanksgiving. Interesting.
What?
You'll find that on page
What? Come again?
20. The masquerades go to church with native doctor for Thanksgiving. How ironic, right? Okay. So beside that we have
officially the cruise capital of the world.
Indeed. No, it is known worldwide, and Nigerians are poetic like that. We have a pictorial of the Vice President, the Gombe State Governor Muhammad Inwa Yahya, Jigawa State Governor Omar Namadi, Deputy Governor of Gombe Manasseh Daniel Jatau, Deputy Governor of Borno State Usman Kadafur, and CEO of the Global Outsource Limited Amal Hassan during the unveiling of the Outsource to Nigerian Initiative and commissioning of Gombe Business Processing Outsourcing Center, which will create over 2,000 job opportunities for Gombe youth in line with Governor Inwa's vision. Well, it's all about Nigerians at the end of the day. Below that, we have children starving to death in northern Gaza hospitals. That's according to WHO. A really sad, another war happening in Gaza. We hope that ends with this ceasefire for at least 3 weeks. Negotiation and table. We hope we get better result out of it. Well, these are some of the stories that you'd find on the Daily Trust.
All right. The Guardian is up next. 198,432 pending court cases leave many in jail, businesses stranded. 198,000. My goodness. And I think a lot of it has to do with the whole election petition thing that made these cases moribund for quite some time. Stop proliferation of arms, light weapons. Tinubu tasks AU and United Nations. Monetary tools can't solve food price crisis, additional insist. And furor over new tax regime, stiffer enforcement in Enugu. What is happening over there? More on that story on page 4. Federal government to begin grain distribution, insists warehouse looting criminal beyond hunger. Okay. And the news, review Oranshire report before implementation. Civil servants tell federal government. Looting food warehouse, reflection of the hunger, frustration of Nigerians, according to the INC.
And the federal government is rebuting that, saying no, it's not just hunger.
Yeah, I mean, hunger can lead to crime and criminality, so somehow intertwined.
All right, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper this morning. Top of the page, the AFDB plans about $2.7 billion budget agric loans for Nigeria. Dangote names refinery road after Wigwe. Approach Zimbabwe for solution to inflation. Obasanjo tells federal government. Zimbabwe. Okay. The major story that said food crisis. The OPS warns of shutdown as hoodlums loot more trucks. Building materials, spaghetti trucks attacked in Ogun, Kaduna, 15 arrested in Abuja. Federal government condemns the warehouse looting and Kano store evacuates wares. States to get free grains. Below there we see banks involved in 70% of financial crimes. That's according to EFCC. NSCDC, Tompolo, men raise Ondo oil thieves hideout. The SIM and NIN case, we have the NCC defense blocking of phone lines as a lawyer slams 10 billion naira suit. You find that story on page 35. Now, these are some of the stories on the Punch newspaper this morning.
Really interesting, and we'd love to get the take of Dr. Theophilus Abba, Programs Director of the Daily Trust Foundation, who is joining us this morning. Doctor, back-to-back week, so I'm not on leave. We met last week, Tuesday, and I'm here again. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
I'd love to get your take on the whole looting thing. The federal government, after announcing this distribution of 2,000 metric tons 2 weeks ago, now is saying, plans are on to distribute them. So going into the third week, it's still not being distributed. And then the lootings continue to happen. What is your take on this whole scenario? Well,
when you talk about some of the lootings that have taken place, well, I would say it's unfortunate. Because if those warehouses that have looted are not federal government warehouses, they belong to businessmen, then it means that the business owners have lost a whole lot. And for you to have such goods in your store, in your warehouse, you must have taken some bank loans. So you can imagine what will happen to the owners of those warehouses. Even I think there was one that they talk about a Dangote truck who was looted, and anybody who thought that belonged to Dangote may be mistaken. Some persons who who purchased this thing from Dangote to sell on retail may have invested so much money. So it's quite unfortunate that these lootings are taking place, and the organized private sector, OPS, I think the Punch carried the story that they are saying, look, we may have to shut down because of these things. But the fact is that if the government had responded as quickly as it ought to, if, for instance, the government makes an announcement that, look, we are going to do this, we're going to intervene in this way, and we are seeing, some trucks go to Gerki and say, look, if you are a resident of Gerki, tell us your home address, come and put down your name, come and have so and so at a subsidized price. If we now see some of these goods taken to Oshodi, a part of Oshodi, and say, okay, we have delineated this part of Oshodi, come and buy at a rock bottom price. You understand? So I'm not even saying you should give them out, but subsidize this and reduce the price. If after 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, we are seeing steps being taken. You are going to local councils. You are going to district, heads of district headquarters. You know that there are about 100,000 persons in this district, and they will take these things to them. If we see these things happen, you see some of these looting will not. People will be patient. Say, well, we know there is a schedule. In the next 2 days, they will come to our own place. We'll wait. Now, government has been making promises since last year, since June last year, and we have not seen them come to pass. And so people now have to take the law into their hands and say, okay, look, I have to help myself because these guys are not ready to help me. You must demonstrate that you are serious by acting on what you say. If you say, so, I feel your pains, I feel what you are feeling, we are not comfortable with, and you are saying all those things, and we are not taking steps. You see, I think it was only the customs that came out to do something that was a bit impressive.
Yeah.
Where they say, okay, we see this thing working, we are selling this for you at the rate of 10,000, even though there was a tragedy. You know, but those are the practical steps that we want to see taken. It's not you sitting down on your high horses and telling people, I feel what you are feeling, we're going to do this. I call it the government of future tense. Yeah, you can't be living in future tense.
Yeah. Do you think the delay is because the grains are just not there, and that's why they're taking their time?
I think the grains are there. You know, I think the grains are there. Because if the government wants,
why are they stalling?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think maybe it's the bureaucracy. You know, the civil service has also bureaucracy, but this is not the time. People are talking about, you know, existential issues. It's not the time that the bureaucracy will we will change your legs and say you cannot move. You want to take this step, take that step, and all that. People are hungry, and this is not something that is far-fetched. We are seeing it, we are feeling it. If you go to buy akara, this common akara, they give you akara of 200 and 300 naira. Is it true? You understand? And we receive calls. People say, I've not eaten for 2 days. I have not done this one. Please, do you have money to send? So this thing is not like, it's not a theory. People are suffering. Well, people are feeling it. And government, maybe because they don't use money to buy anything, they are there in the villa, they are there in houses where everything is ready for them. Their vehicles are fueled. They don't need to go to a person to pay. You know, the food is available from the budget and all those things. Maybe they don't. That's why they feel that this thing is not real. But the reality is that people are hungry, and then you cannot begin to tell them in future I'm going to do the intentions cannot solve this problem. You know, we have been living in the government of future tense for many years now. Buhari took us, we were talking about the future until after 8 years. It never came to pass. And Tinubu is also coming to talk about future. We will, we shall, we will.
We assure you.
We assure you. That is not how your system is run.
Former President Obasanjo is advising Nigeria to learn from Zimbabwe. I don't know whether it's Mugabe's Zimbabwe or Emerson Mnangagwa's Zimbabwe, but what do you make of it? Are there some, examples out there that we can follow?
Well, I don't know what Zimbabwe has can be an example to Nigeria, because the last I read about Zimbabwe, the inflation was so bad, and the economy, actually crumbled to the point that many Zimbabweans were flooding South Africa. They were just doing all sorts of menial jobs, to the point that if there's a xenophobic attack that we hear about, they target Zimbabweans because they were the ones who would take a job of 10 naira and say, okay, I will do it for 2 naira. Yeah. And South Africa will say, no, can you come and take up this job? We don't, this is a job that we are rejecting and you are taking it, and it's like, so I don't think Zimbabwe, I don't know why, I'm not registered. I don't know why you say we should learn from Zimbabwe.
I hope it's a sarcastic one, because, there's
because if you talk, Zimbabwe cannot be an example of a system that is tackling inflation and hunger and all this and all that.
Well, the former president Obasanjo is known for being, a bit sarcastic. Yes, so perhaps it could.
We actually be saying that we are on the road to Zimbabwe,
right?
Because if you look at the Zimbabwean currency, it got so bad that to buy a loaf of bread, you have to load money in a basket.
Yeah.
To be able to buy a loaf of bread, it was so bad, and that was literal. It's not as if it's metaphoric.
Yeah.
Literally, you have millions of dollars, Zimbabwean dollars to buy a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really funny.
Perhaps
maybe he's trying to say, okay, look, be careful. Yeah. You're on the road to Zimbabwe.
Exactly.
Yes, maybe that's what he's saying.
I think was it PDP or one of the opposition parties described the situation similar to Zimbabwe some weeks
ago. In
Venezuela.
Yeah, talking about Venezuela, yes.
Venezuela. So,
but the unfortunate thing is that, you see, in the case of Venezuela, what happened was this. The oil price, they depended on crude oil like Nigeria, but the oil price reached the rock bottom, about $12 or $10 for a barrel. So they could no longer fund the subsidized social system. But in our own case, oil is about $80-something to a barrel. But unfortunately, the oil theft and the fact that some of the oil has been sold in advance, it's making us not to even benefit from the rising price of oil.
Yeah.
So it's a problem.
And in talking about the big story that Sumaya read earlier, the governor of the central bank is warning Nigeria about our debt risks. And we're all too familiar with this particular issue. Every year for the past, I don't know how long, we've had to worry about the rising debt ceiling, the rising. And I think the last finance minister, Zainab Ahmed, was saying, listen, debt to GDP ratio is still healthy, is still well within the economic, the internationally accepted standards. So there's nothing to worry about. Again, we're re-echoing the same thing. We're blowing up the future as far as, financial viability is concerned. What do you make of the CBN government's take on this?
What you have said is very important, because like I think was it 2 days ago I was looking at Nigeria's debts, and I saw that we are owing IMF 3.4 billion, and that's why IMF is saying, look, you are owing us so much money. We have our loan officers in Nigeria, so you must obey everything they tell you. Remove subsidy on petrol, remove subsidy on electricity. Because if you are owing them, they will give you instructions. They will tell you this is what you want. Because
conditions.
You see, if you read their report, they are saying, look, for you, we want to know if you can pay this debt. We don't want you to owe us. We want to know if you can actually pay up. So when they are giving this instruction, it's not as if they are just they are not thinking about Nigerians actually. When they say, oh, do this, they are thinking about how are we going to protect this 3.something billion that we give to Nigeria. That's why they give all those rules. And when Cardoso say, look, we have to be aware. I think he's right. Let me tell you, most of the loans that have been taken, we have not reaped the benefit of those loans. Either the money, even at the state level, state government to take loan, the loans will not be applied to what they promised to use the loan for. The money will be stolen. At the federal level, I was looking at why did government take 3.4 billion, from IMF? You understand? I was trying to look at why and whether those things were actually yielding fruit. Nigeria is paying back about 500 million to China on Abuja railway contract. But you know that they are not even any money to pay up. So, but government must pay. If not, they tell that you are already a bankrupt nation. If you are bankrupt, you are blacklisted. You cannot receive any financial support. So you see, what Cardoso is saying is that, look, as long as we keep taking this loan, and the fact is that as long as these loans are not applied in such a way that they bring the kind of benefits to the society, it means that we're actually wasting money. You are collecting this money, some people are stealing this money, and you have to pay back at an interest. So it is not even helping the economy at all. It's not even helping Nigeria at all. So we have to pay. So there's nothing you can do about it.
Let me throw the question that Abdul asked me before. Abdullah asked, is the warning to Nigerians or the president or federal government?
Well, I think he had to sound this warning, because it's not only the federal government that is owing, that takes loans.
The state government.
You understand? The state governments take loans, and they go to the DMO office, and they go to some offices, and they say, well, we are going to support you. Maybe the revenue people will say, well, yeah, they are entitled to some billion. Now they can get up to 6 billion or 7 billion every month, or 10 billion. So if they take this loan and they are asked to pay 1 billion monthly, they can do it. We approve. And so here he's saying that, look, those of you who do this approval, I want you to know that we are in trouble. I was looking at the medium-term economic policy of government, and I discovered that in 2024 there was actually no money for capital expenditure. It started from, I think, 2021, 22, 23, then it graduated. The way it graduated by 2024, in the projection based on debt, based on the expenditure and all those things, there was just nothing for capital. I wonder, why is it so? You understand? When somebody drew my attention to it and I went to look at it, I said, it's true. When the former Minister of Finance, Zainab, yes, when she presented it, I was scared. And the reality is this, that look, whatever money government will spend now, it has to generate internally. And that is why it has to shed weight. To say, oh, the subsidy, this must go, that subsidy must go. And the worst thing is the devaluation of the naira. He talks about 139 trillion. It wasn't like that last year. If you ask yourself, it was about 70-something trillion last year. But now it is now 139 trillion. Yeah. It's not as if they took more loan. But the devaluation of the naira is affecting what you must pay back. And the unfortunate thing, you must earn this 139 trillion to be able to pay.
It's really looking
So
sad.
it's not a palatable situation, you know. And the people, the house, I pity the states, because the House of Assemblies are not holding governors accountable. Governors will write this thing, they will just approve. They will collect this money, and nobody will ask governors.
I mean, the two major problems we have here is economic saboteurs and
sabotage.
corruption.
Oh,
those
thank
two
you very
things
much.
is what is bothering us. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Theophilus Abba, Program Director, Daily Trust Foundation, for joining us to review the front pages of the National Dailies. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for stopping by this morning.
And with that, of course, we have come to the end of Daybreak on Trust TV this Tuesday morning. Please do stick around. At the top of the hour, Adeni Ajishafe would bring you 360 Sport. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Do have a lovely day.
Thank you most kindly for joining us on the program. We'll see you tomorrow.